Hello everybody, in this video tutorial we are going to take a look into the installation process of VMware VSphere Hypervisor ESXi 6.7 on VirtualBox host. My name is Nebojša Bačanin-Đakula, PhD. This video is not for commercial purposes. This video is intended only for the students of Singidunum University. So, first question that arises is, what is VMware ESXi Hypervisor? VMware ESXi Hypervisor is enterprise level hypervisor or type 1 hypervisor. That means that it runs directly on top of the computer hardware as an operating system that includes and integrates all vital OS components such as a kernel. So, in order to install this VMware ESXi hypervisor, we need physical hardware, but since right now we don't physical hardware available, we are going to install VMware ESXi hypervisor on the VirtualBox host. But first we need to take into consideration the minimum requirements for this installation. So VMware ESXi minimum requirements. First we need at least VirtualBox version 5.0.18 or later. Secondly, we need VM virtual machine with at least 4 GB of random access memory. Then we need virtual machine with at least 2 CPUs. And of course we need a decent amount of storage, like 20, 40 and more gigabytes. So first thing we have to do is to go to the official VMware portal and to download ISO file of VMware ESXi hypervisor. So in the Google search engine I'll just type download VMware VSphere ESXi. So I go, for example, to this link. Okay, and we see here that we have a wide variety of versions. We have Essential version, Essential Plus, Standard, Enterprise, and so on, so on. So all versions are commercial, but fortunately we can get a free trial. So, for example, I'm going to install this Essential version, ESXi 6.7. This is the newest version, 6.7. So I just go to the downloads and I click here, download now. I'll choose this version that includes VMware Tools. VMware Tools helps and enhance integration of ESXi hypervisor with the host operating system. And in this case, this is Windows 10 operating system. So I just go download now, but in order to download, I will have to create my account and to log in with my credentials. I've already created an account, so I just have to log in. And when I log in, I just have to press this download button. So, if you don't have account, please first register on the VMware portal. I've already downloaded this product, so we won't have to wait. So, I'm going to close my browser. And then I'll start with the creation of the virtual machine under Oracle VirtualBox host. So, I choose this new button. I choose the name for my virtual machine. For example, ESXi 6.7 hypervisor. So this is important part. For the operating system type, choose Linux, and for the version you may choose other Linux 64-bit. 64-bit is essential information, so the machine needs to have 64-bit architecture. So I go to the next, and then in this step I'll choose the random access memory size for my virtual machine. I'll choose 4096, so that's 4 gigabytes of system memory. Then I go next. Yes, in this step we are going to create a virtual hard disk. I'm choosing this option, create a virtual hard disk now. I go to create. I'll choose this VirtualBox disk image VDI extension. We can choose VHD and VMDK, but I'll choose this VDI extension in this case. We go next. Then we choose type of disks. So as you know, virtual disk can be either dynamically allocated or fixed size. I'll choose for this purpose dynamically allocated. I go next. And finally, in this step, I choose the size of my virtual hard disk. I'll choose 40 gigabytes. So make sure that you choose 20 or more gigabytes in order for VMware ESXi to run properly. We'll need plenty of space because, you know, in real production environments, VMware VSphere installs on the physical server and it hosts many virtual machines. So this is just example, this is just a demo of testing environment, so I'll choose 40 gigabytes. Okay, now we have created our virtual machine. Then we go right click here and go to settings. Okay, first thing we want to do is to go here to the system and to choose this processor tab. We want to make sure that this virtual machine has at least 2 CPUs. I'll choose 4 CPUs. Then we click on button OK, and I'll go again one more time to settings, and this time we go to storage. We go to here to this optical drive. We choose this optical drive icon. We go to choose virtual optical disk file now. Now in this step we are going to insert our virtual optical disk. That's ISO image we have downloaded from the VMware portal. Go to desktop. Here is my ISO file. VMware installer 6.7. I choose OK. And finally, we need to set up the network. Okay, we choose all these adapter types. But for this purpose, I'm going to choose host only network adapter. That means that our virtual machine, our virtual network interface card will communicate with the physical adapter of our host machine. Okay, and here we have adapter type. It is good practice to choose this Intel Pro 1000 MT server because it's a server virtual network interface card and it obtains the best performance when running with VMware VSphere. And here in promiscuous mode I'll choose allow all. I won't be changing MAC address. Okay, now we can go to OK. So I want to show you one more thing. For example, if we go to File and we go to Host Network Manager, here we can manage the VirtualBox host only network adapter if we like. So if you go to Properties, we have two options. We can configure adapter automatically or we can configure adapter manually. So by default, this adapter has IP address of 192.168.56.1 and with 24-bit subnet mask. So this is the address of our virtual network gateway or router. So this is the gateway, and if I go here to DHCP server, we can see that this type of VirtualBox adapter has DHCP, dynamic host configuration protocol server, embedded into itself. So the pool of IP addresses is from 192.168.56.100. That's the server address, and the lower bound is at the end 101 and upper bound is 254. So if you choose to use DHCP server, our virtual machine, our virtual network interface card will get the IP address from the range of 101, between the range of 101 and 254. So I'll leave this as it is, it's okay. So I'm going to use DHCP server. I make sure that this checkbox enable server is marked, so I won't be touching anything, so I just close. And finally, now it is time to boot up our virtual machine. Just click on the start button. Okay, I want to capture the mouse. Okay, we choose this ESXi 6.7 installer. Okay, we want to boot our virtual machine, and finally the kernel of the operating system is being loaded into the system memory of the virtual machine. So the kernel is being initialized, the files are being loaded into the memory, and now we have to wait till the process completes. Okay, it's not so bad, it's going relatively fast. So in this step we just have to type the enter on the keyboard in order to continue. Then we have to type F11 to accept and continue end user license agreement for the VMware ESXi 6.7 installation. Okay, I'll hit F11, and now the installation wizard is scanning for the available disk drives. In this case, virtual disk drives. I'll choose this. That's the only one I have currently on my virtual system. Then we want to select the keyboard layout, US default, it's okay. And finally we have to define the root password for the root account that manages all the features of the hypervisor. So I'll choose my password. Okay, make sure that you remember this password. Okay, now this is a just gentle warning that hardware virtualization is not a feature of the CPU or is not enabled in the BIOS. Since this is just for testing purposes, it doesn't matter. But we won't be able to install real virtual machines. Okay, so if you want to test this for real, for example in test environment, make sure that hardware virtualization is enabled in the BIOS of your physical computer. So if you have Intel processor, this technology is called Intel VT, Intel Virtualization Technology. Or if you have AMD processor, this technology is called AMD-V, like virtualization. I'll just hit enter, I'll ignore this warning, and finally in this step I'll hit F11 to start the installation process. So in this step the wizard is warning us to remove the installation media before rebooting this virtual machine. Okay, no problem. So we'll go to devices, optical drives, and choose remove disk from virtual drive. Okay, we've removed the disk, so we just hit enter to reboot. And now the server is being rebooted. So again, we have to wait. So VMware ESXi is relatively light because it takes only 300 to 400 megabytes. So it goes direct to the system memory. So it's very light product. But on this VMware ESXi hypervisor, we need a lot of system memory for virtual machines, because each virtual machine is instance for itself. It contains its operating system and applications. So in the production environment, make sure that you have a relatively powerful server with a lot of gigabyte memory. It is preferable to use converged or hyper-converged infrastructure solutions like solutions from HP, IBM, or some other global vendors. And now, when the machine is booted, our operating system runs. So this is VMware ESXi operating system. Now it is functioning as a virtualization server, and it is waiting for incoming connections, for incoming client connections. In this screen, we can hit F2 button, and we can customize some of the parameters of our installation. But first we need to log in with our password, so make sure you remember the password. Okay, finally we got admin screen. Okay, we can do a wide variety of options and configurations here. Firstly we can change the root password. We are not going to do this. Then we can configure management network. It's okay. We use dynamic IPv4 settings from our virtual DHCP server. Okay, and then we can configure DNS configuration. We can either obtain DNS server addresses and hostname automatically, or we can use the following DNS server addresses. We'll use Google DNS, for example. That's 5/8, and the alternate will be also Google's DNS server. It's 4/4. Okay, finally we hit OK. Localhost is good. This is just a test. So okay. Finally, when we finish our configuration, we hit Escape button. Do we want to apply? Oh yes, we click Y, and finally I hit Escape to log out from this admin screen. Okay, so now we have our hypervisor ESXi up and running. The only thing we should do now is to connect to it. So this VMware VSphere ESXi 6.7, it supports web management interface. On some older versions we could use this client sorter, VMware VSphere. VMware VSphere is very handy product that is installed locally on the host machine, and then we use this product to connect to our vSphere ESXi hypervisor. But from the version 6.7 of ESXi, VMware vSphere client as C# application is not supported anymore. So we only have one option to choose the web interface. So here is the IP address, local IP address of our ESXi hypervisor, 192.168.56.101. So we just go to open our browser and type 192.168.56.101, and now it warns that we don't have a secure connection, etc. If we want to enable secure connection, we have options to configure SSH secure shell in the admin console of ESXi hypervisor, but I let this for you to explore on your own. So we hit advanced, and choose this, proceed to this address, unsafe. Okay, it warns us, but we know that it's safe location. So now we have to log in. Our password is root, and we type in our user is root, and we type in our password, and finally we have VMware VSphere ESXi 6.7 management console. From here we can do anything. We can create new virtual machines, we can dedicate more storage space, we can do absolutely anything. But for now on, we can also configure virtual networks with virtual networks components. But for now on, I'm just going to show you how to create a new virtual machine. Since this is a relatively small server, instead this is not server, this is just a regular desktop computer with i7 processor and 16 gigabytes of random access memory. Our physical host and our virtual machine runs with only 4 gigabytes of memory. So I don't have enough resources to actually create virtual machine, but I'm going just to show you. We go here, create register virtual machine. Then we have this step, create a new virtual machine. We hit next. Then we type the name, for example, Linux, Ubuntu server 18.04 LTS long-term support. Then we have to choose the guest operating system family, it's Linux, and guest operating system version. We can choose Ubuntu Linux 64-bit and hit next. And then we have to choose our data store. Data store is storage of VMware ESXi, that's 40 gigabytes in size. And now 32.5 gigabytes are left. That's actually the size of our virtual disk that we have configured on the Oracle VirtualBox hypervisor. We go next. Here we choose a virtual disk size, 16 gigabytes, virtual memory, OK, and some other configurations. We hit next and finish. OK, so in order to actually run this virtual machine, first I will have to go here to data store and to upload ISO file of Ubuntu server installation. But for this tutorial we just go here, upload, and choose it. But for this tutorial I'm not going to do this. I'll let you explore for yourselves. So that would be all for the brief introduction tutorial into VMware ESXi hypervisor 6.7. This is really a good solution, good product, good hypervisor. So you are free to test it on your own. Thanks for listening and see you soon.